So today's agenda is what we're going to see about in this is what is lint, ways to use lint, what are lint internals, how to write custom Android lint for both Java, Kotlin file. All the Java is outdated now, but we will seeing both for Java and Kotlin. And for XML files, we can also write Kotlin Android lint for Gradle file or other file. But for today's session, we will only discussing about Kotlin Java file and XML file. Okay. So let's start. Now let's see what is lint. Many of you guys must be knowing what is lint, or many of you guys must not be knowing what are lint. So you must have seen that yellow color, warning that Android Studio pops up with every time, there are too many parameter in the in your function, that library is outdated, and anything that comes with yellow. A yellow stroke or red stroke, or anything that IDE wants us to know that hey, there is something phishing your code, there is something bug. So these are Android linked. Okay, so in an example, we can see that here they Android Studio is telling us, okay, there is an upgrade for the Gradle that we are using. So all these are Android linked. Okay. So Android lint, let's say in theory, Android lint is a normal static code analysis tool that checks your project for source file for potential bug optimization, improvement, for correctness, and and everything that you want to show. Okay. So we will be seeing now how the Android lint allow Android lint also allow you to write custom lint. Okay, we'll be seeing that in the upcoming slides. So let's start with see in this example we can see that we have written a custom lint. Let's say we are using dagger, so we need to annotate our activity for Android entry point. So we have wrote our custom lint to help developer to write that we have to annotate this activity with Android entry point. So sometime it may happen that many developers that forgets to write annotate the activity, so it gives runtime crash. So we can avoid these small crashes by writing our own custom lint. So, okay, so also I want to highlight the point that although we still call Android lint, but this lint API is no longer specific to the Android. We can also use this API to write the server side Java language, or server side Java or Kotlin code. Okay, now let's see some of the ways how we can use Android links. So for Studio, we can use there are two ways. Let's say we can use directly on Studio. We have some inspection tool in Studio that we can use, or we can also run commands in to run our custom link checks, or we can also get HTML and XML report of our whole lint analysis that our Android Studio is doing. So let's see, let's go to each one by one. So now what is on the fly? You see, on the fly is one of the easiest and simplest way to see our
Gopal,
link. Yes.
sorry to interrupt you in between.
Yeah.
Accidentally, I think so you closed down your slides. Can you just share that again?
Yeah. Okay. Is it visible now?
No, you'll have to share it again.
Yeah, I did share it. Okay, my full screen. Wait. Okay. Now.
Yeah, now we can see your screen. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Sorry. So yeah, so we were talking about how to use various ways to use lint. So there are mainly two type of we can use lint in two ways. Like we can use lint directly from our Android Studio, or we can run a command in our Gradle to run a lint check on our code base. It also we can also generate HTML or XML report of our lint checks that we are running through command line. Okay, let's go one by one. So what is on the fly means? See, one on the fly is one of the simplest and easiest way that Android Studio tell us to see our lint on the Android Studio. See, let's say here we have wrote string spelling wrong. So it is also denoting with something that unresolved reference. So these are type of some of the link that Android Studio gives you every time, like like when we make a function. Okay, when we pass more than 6 or 7 parameter on a function, it also gives a yellow warning that it is not recommended to pass that many parameter onto a function. So these all types of warnings, errors you see on Android Studio, all are the part of the lint which Android Studio comes with. Okay, Apart from this, we can also run our custom lint checks on the Android Studio. So to run, we just have to let's go into this. See, for run, so we have to just press a double shift. Okay, then double shift, then enter run inspection by name. Then you can enter your inspection name. Inspection name is your lint name that you want to run. So let's say there are a lot of range of the lint that you can see in the Android Studio that you can run manually, because some of the lint checks do not run as you type. Okay, because some of the lint check, if Android Studio enable the whole lint check by default, so Android Studio might become slow, laggy. So there are more, there are lints that are default, paused by default, so you can run those lint check from this inspection tab. Okay, now let's see what else we can get from the lint, what else we can achieve from lint. Okay, then let's go through them one by one. So what is configuration? So Android Studio already comes with 400 plus built inbuilt checks, and that we can run, okay. And also we can change that, the Android Studio that comes within a lint, we can change their scope of the lint, we can change the severity of the lint, and we can change the highlighting option of your lint that Android Studio comes with. Let's see, here is an example. When you will go on a setting page, and under editor inspection tab, you will see the whole lint that Android Studio comes with. You will see some of the lint are enabled by default, and many of are disabled by default. So you can go through the each lint and check whichever suits your organization. You can enable it, or you can disable it. Also, you can change the severity of the lint that you want to. Let's say there is a I was talking about passing many parameter onto a function. If you want to set its severity as an error, so you can set it as error. So our code wouldn't compile unless developer will fix that. So we can change the severity, scope, or highlighting warning, how we want to show our custom our default link in the Android Studio from the inspection tab itself. So now moving forward, see, in this case, Android Studio are capable of finding the issues, bugs that are in your code, and that links are running for. But some of the cases, we need to provide hint to our code inspection tool. Those hints are called, we can say it at annotation. So so these annotation helps to give metadata to the where we can add metadata tags attached to the variable parameter return value, such as there are some of the annotation which we use in everyday life, like non at the rate non null at the rate nullable, which are usually Java specific. And there are also some of the annotation like main thread, at the rate UI thread, worker thread, and drawable resource. Let's see and here example one. Let's see, there is a function. We know that there will be an API call in that function. So we don't want to invoke that function from a main thread, which will cause ANR. So we can annotate that function as a worker thread. That okay. So after that, whenever we will call that function from any UI thread, it will give us it will give us an error that okay, the method you're trying to call is it will be running on a worker thread. So it's better to launch a new thread or launch a new coroutine to run that method. So also, okay, so like this also we can annotate, let's say there is function in which you are passing a drawable resource, okay, in drawable resource. So if we annotate that variable as an at the rate drawable resource, so whenever we will call that method, we need to pass the our drawable resource into it. We cannot pass any random integer like 1 2 3 4. So these kind of annotation help us to avoid silly mistakes, help us to avoid silly crashes. And it also help us to review the PR faster, because we know that now these small issues that we used to check during the PR review are now eliminated with our custom lints. So now moving forward, we have no lint internals. Now let's say we have seen that how lints are working, right? Now how lint are working in Android Studio. Now how lint are working internally, how they are working both for Java and Kotlin file at a single at a single time. We write lint for lint once, and it runs for the both Java and Kotlin file. How? Because we there is something called UST, universal abstract tree, which wrap around the Java and Kotlin file, which create a step to step, which parse the Java and Kotlin file step to step. So whenever we will write any custom lint, we are actually writing it on a UST, universal abstract tree itself. So whenever you change anything, any Java code or Kotlin file, it start parsing your of that file for to check, to report any custom link that you have that you have that you have wrote. Okay, see, now apart from this, now we can see how we can write our custom lint in Android Studio, right? How can we make a custom lint in Android Studio? See, so for writing and for making writing a custom lint Android Studio, first of all we need to make a Java or Kotlin library, normal library, like let's say we are making lint check module. Okay, after that we need to import, add these dependencies. There is a thumb rule that we have seen from the Google developer, that whatever is your EGP, Android Glider plugin, just add 23.0.03 to that version, and set that version to your linked version. Okay, now after adding these dependencies in Gradle, now let's see how can we enable the lint check for our each module. Let's say we are working on a multi-module project. Now we want to enable our custom lint for any one specific module or two specific module. We can just write on a lint check project, and we can just into that module we can just enter this line. It will enable the lint check for this module only. Okay, now after all of this, now what is the next step is to define our issue registry. Now what is issue registry? Issue registry is a simple class where where we will mentioning all of our lint checks that we want to run in our code base. Okay, now let's see here. Now let's before diving into the how code, let's understand there is a term called visitor, issue, and detector pattern. Okay, so let's see what is visitor here. Visitor is normally just a design pattern which is used to traverse, analyze our AST of source code. We can think of it as a normal part of a code or classes. It helps us to navigate through the whole code's layout and do a specific task or check on each of the pieces of our code that we are writing on the code base. Okay, now issues are normal rules that we define for our lint checks. Like in issues we'll be defining our ID, description, priority level of our checks that we want to perform or a link check. And detector is responsible for reporting the issues to our Android Studio. So detector will help us to report the issues that we have defined here to us. Now let's see how can we write our first lint check here. So let's say we are writing for lint check for Android entry point that we have seen earlier. So we have to define these parameter for to create our issue object. So let's see one by one. So we have to define an ID. So ID, you must have used you must have used to suppress some of the lint, like that it suppress and suppress a warning. So whenever we used to suppress a warning, we are actually using the ID of that lint check that we want to suppress. So this ID will be used to suppress any lint that we want to in our code base. Okay, we need to tell them the priority, which start from 1 to 10. 10 means 10 is the highest and 1 is the lowest. Okay, we need to give the description of our lint, like description that we want to our users to see, that our developer to see that what is actually the warning that we are seeing. Okay, we can also write an explanation, how can we fix, or why we are why it is not recommended, or why is it a lint check, or why is it a bug. Okay, after that we can also define category. There are multiple category for a lint check, like this is correctness, there are improvement, there are error. So we can define categories of our lint. Also we can apply severity. Severity is informationally just a yellow patch that you will see. There are also error severity, which will just do not allow me run our code. So we can add a severity here. So using this we can create our issues. Okay, so after that after we have created our issue, right? Now writing a detector class. See, For running our source code for our we have extended it to the source code scanner. It will help us to scan our both Java file and Kotlin file, right? Here also we can see now that what is the scope of the this issue. This scope issue is Java file scope. So it no it is limited to Java file and Kotlin file both. So this issue will be checking for lint in the both Java and Kotlin file. Okay. So there are multiple of detector that we can see: source code detector for Java Kotlin file, class detector for bytecode compiled file, and resource folder detector, XML scanner, Gradle scanner, other file scanner. So using Android custom lint, we can write lint for any of the file that we want. So let's see our detector how it's working. So whenever we have implemented extended our detector to source code. Now we have override some of the function. Now what we want is what is UST type, what is the type that we want to run our detector, because if we don't want to scan our XML file whenever we write something in an XML file, we don't want our lint to start and start scanning our XML file, because we know that this lint rule is should be only for limited to XML and Kotlin files. So we have given that given the scope to the class file here. Okay, now here is the visitor, how it is working. Now let's say we have seen an example to add an annotation for Android entry point. Okay, so this is how we are finding our issues in a custom lint. Okay, let's say we have a class, okay, activity class, which is extended, which have a let's say we have any base class. So in that case, you have to write your base class here, because that base class will be your super class, right? So it will check if a class is extended to this base class, I mean this qualifier, okay, and it is not annotated with Android entry point, okay, then it will report an issue that okay, hey, there is a class which is extending to your app compact or your base, any class base activity base fragment, but it is not annotated, okay, with entry point. So it will just report a issue here ki, hey, there is an issue in this, use @annotation before running the app. Okay, so just this, after writing all this step, you just have to rebuild the your project. So here we have okay, after rebuilding, also don't forget to add your issues in your issue registry file that we have created. Okay, so after this, when you will rebuild your project, now you will see a lint warning here that is telling us to annotate our activity with Android entry point before running our app. Here we have added severity as informational, so that's why it's not showing the red mark here. Otherwise it would have shown us the red mark and we wouldn't be able to run our code in the first. Okay, so yeah, with this we have seen with how we can write our custom lint in Android Studio. We can write for both XML, and you can make your code more bug free and more optimized and performance. Thank you.
Thanks, Gopal, for sharing this information. And it has triggered one question, so I'll go with it.
Yeah, sure.
So one of the person is trying to ask, have you used any custom rules which are written by other developers? If yes, do you know which are the popular ones, and is there a repository or a common place we can find all of these?
Custom rules, I mean some set of the custom rule that other developers are writing, right? uh, can you explain the question? I mean what kind of custom rules
Basically, what he's trying to ask, whether do we have a repository or a place where we can find the custom lint rules which are developed by other developers and
um,
can be used by us?
right now, I didn't know about that. If there are any open repository, but yeah, we can create our open repository, and we can also publish that. We can just use it as an other library to use in a app. So right now, I do not know about the if there are any open repository where developer have wrote some of the checks, because these custom lint are some are mostly are org specific that we want to enforce in our company, in our code base. So most of the custom lint are not outsourced, or are publicly available, because we know that these custom lint are mostly is limited to our code base only. Other than that, we can use we can use KT lint that comes with many lint checks. So yeah, if we want to see other lints, we can use other option like kt lint. But if we want to write our own custom lint, then we can write it here, or we can also publish a open repository if someone wants other yeah.
Okay, but I think it's a fair point that most of the linting rules are very specific to your project, but it
Yeah.
also gives you an opportunity to create a GitHub repository wherein you can write your custom lints, which can be used by the any other project.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I can. But let's see. Let's say we're talking about here, writing custom lint for Android entry point. Let's say, okay. But every project will have different, super class. Like, so we cannot just make a generic here for now. As far as I know, that we cannot make something generic that will work for every project, because we know that, let's say in this example, we have activity that is just extending to a compact. But it is not the case. Everyone has some base activity, base fragment that they are extending to, right? So we can't but yeah, we can write for some other checks for checks. But yeah, it's a good thing that it's a good option that we can explore. We can make a cool repository with it, open repository where other developer can add their own lint check. Yeah.
Feel free to ask any other question. Gopal is still here to answer our questions. He has like exactly 3 minutes more. So don't miss this opportunity to ask any of the further questions you have. Okay, then we are all set. So thank you, Gopal, for joining in. And
Thank
uh,